what are the 5 words you need to see from our government to make sure we win this AI race?
Policies to help us run faster in the innovation race. I would add, I think computing is the foundation to all of this. We want to have more compute built in the U.S. by U.S. companies and ensure that we have a great environment for that. We want to ensure that our technology around the world is also used broadly and in the right ways. So I think the conversation about export controls and rules should just be simple, easy to follow, easy to enforce, and enable U.S. AI platforms to be the foundation, and then certainly the comments around bringing manufacturing back home and ensuring that we have the right talent base are all extremely important elements of that.
Are companies weighing doing business in AI in America versus China? Are the companies making that side-by-side comparison?
I think if you look across the world, there are countries and companies that will ask those questions. If it's hard to obtain U.S. technology, although U.S. technology is the best, if it's hard to obtain, then there's a hunger for AI, and they will choose what is available. And if China is available, that will certainly be an outcome that we would not like to see.
What do you see as the next frontier of chip technology in terms of energy efficiency? And how could, and that's not just based on the Chinese competitors, but how can we work together to improve direct-to-chip cooling for high-performance computing?
Well, thank you for the question, Senator. I would say, look, there is a tremendous amount of innovation that's going on in the semiconductor sector today. The CHIPS and Science Act was certainly helpful in raising the profile of chips in the United States relative to, what are we doing to go faster and build better and more power-efficient chips. Frankly, we're using AI extensively through our chip development cycles, and it does allow us to augment what are typically very long cycles, many years, several years for us to develop chips. We can shorten the time and also improve the efficiency. And there are lots and lots of great new technologies in terms of cooling technologies that are super important for us to build the large-scale systems that we talked about earlier today. So thank you for the question.
Dr. Su, you just recently did a partnership with TSMC to manufacture your chips here in America. Thank you. I think it's a little bit long overdue. I wish we had done more of that earlier. Are those semiconductor fabs high energy users?
Thank you, Senator. We are very pleased with our efforts together with the government on bringing more manufacturing back to the United States. To your question, certainly semiconductor manufacturing plants are high energy users, and we do need more power for both manufacturing as well as for data centers, as you mentioned.
And without chips, this just doesn't work. Like, if we don't have the highest performance chips made here in the United States, this is not going to happen here, correct?
We absolutely need the highest performing chips, and we also need the entire ecosystem for chip manufacturing. So wafers are one piece, but there are many other pieces as well.
And are those chips powered by solar power and windmills?
Today, they're not, but I think there are opportunities to certainly.
How are we doing when it comes to the development of talent in this country? If you were to give us a grade, what would you grade us at in terms of our development right now?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. Look, I think the smartest engineers are in the United States. We have a great base of talent, but what I will say is we need more. We need more hardware developers, software developers, application
How
developers.
wide is that delta? If we're talking about this as a race, as you did, is that a space where we have a larger amount of delta, or is that a place where it's closing rapidly too?
Well, I think we do have a very talented overall talent base, but we also have the desire to have the best, and that includes not only U.S. nationals, but also having the best international students.
Drawing the talent from.
That's right. I think high-skilled immigration is one of those areas where we want the best people in the world to be doing their work in the United States. And Senator, if I can just add something to your previous point about the cycle and what race we're trying to win. Technology is one of those things where you can have a very vicious positive cycle. So in other words, when we lead and more people adopt, that means more developers that make our technology better, that increases our lead. So that's what we want, is to have our leadership just increase over time.
Question that I have spent a lot of time talking to business leaders, CEOs in the tech space, AI. And one question that I've asked that I get different answers on, and I'm curious what the four of you say. How big a deal was DeepSeek? Is it a major, seismic, shocking development from China? Is it not that big a deal? Is it somewhere in between? And what's coming next? And let's, each of the four of you.
When you think about what we learned is, there are different ways of doing things. So we have lots of incredibly innovative people in the United States. American models are clearly the best by far. However, when you have constraints that are placed, there are other ways of doing things, and I think we learned a few things in the process. I think the open source nature of DeepSeek was one of the things that probably was most impactful in just terms of how much can be done in an open source, type of model and open ecosystem. But clearly, the United States is leading, and we need to continue, as we said, to accelerate innovation and adoption, as you started this hearing with.
I'm curious, each of the four of you, what do you think the rule should be, if anything, is to replace the AI diffusion rule? And Mr. Altman, we'll start with you.
I think we would totally agree with the concept that some restrictions are necessary. This is a matter of national security as much as it is about AI diffusion. That being the case, we were happy to see the rescinding as well. And we view this as an opportunity to really simplify, right? At the end of the day, we've talked about the need to drive widespread adoption of our technology and our ecosystem. Simple rules that can be easily applied that really allow our allies to protect our technology while still utilizing the best that the United States has to offer, I think is a good start in terms of where we're going. And again, this is an area where I think the devil's in the details, and it requires a lot of balance. And so from an industry standpoint, it's our job to put on the broader hat and work hand in hand with the administration and Congress to make our best recommendations so that it is a policy that has some stability as we go forward as well.